Oh, hey, Eric.
Don, what's up? Did you get a call from the Boys and Girls Club too? Hashtag being great. Hashtag great future start here.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with the Civil War dinner and auction. Hashtag doing it for the kids.
Hashtag that's how we do.
Hashtag get your bid on. Hashtag best event ever.
Well, along with Maritidal Idol, of course. Hey, remember what we talked about? Don't sit too close to Marla this year. Hashtag don't drink and duck call.
You know, it's interesting they would have two beavers. It is the Civil War auction. You'd think they'd want some U of O representation. Hashtag two beavers are better than one.
Yeah, maybe they couldn't have found any Duck fans to do it. Hashtag should have checked the bandwagon. Though the bandwagon's probably a little less full after that Stanford game.
You know, when we're there Thursday night, we should really take an opportunity to thank the title, presenting, and supporting sponsors.
Yeah, we should. Hashtag sucking up. I'm a big fan of our title sponsor, Bonaventure. Hashtag senior living. Not the Saint. Not there's anything wrong with the Saint.
Yeah, the future is looking bright at Bonaventure. Hashtag so bright they gotta wear shades. Hashtag the boomers are coming! The boomers are coming!
No, but seriously, when I'm of age, I definitely want to live in a Bonaventure senior living community. Hashtag drinks with friends in the community center.
Hashtag Matlock.
Hashtag epic bridge games.
Hashtag can't wait!
Hashtag 80's the new 40.
Speaking of 40, what are you doing to prepare for retirement? I've seen your investment choices, Eric, and they're not what I would call sound. Hashtag clothing. Hashtag hair products.
I don't really know it. I bet Withers Wealth Management can help us. Hashtag diversification. Hashtag is it too late to buy gold? Hashtag let's just ask Travis.
Who's Travis?
Travis Withers, Withers Wealth Management. Hashtag Danielle's husband.
Oh, yeah, right. Hey, I've got a question for you. It might be a little personal, but what's your number?
Why would you ask me that?
Not that number. How much do you need to retire?
I really have no idea. Hashtag plenty of time. Hashtag 40's the new 20.
I don't know about that. You should at least open a money market account at a bank. Hashtag Umpqua Bank.
Oh, I love Umpqua Bank. Hashtag whimsical tree logo.
Hashtag world's greatest bank.
Hashtag not branches, stores.
Hashtag their stores have great coffee.
Hey, have you ever noticed that Ron Lechner looks just like Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec? Hashtag mustache envy.
Hashtag LOLOLOLOLOLOL. Oh,
Hashtag thanks. You know, Don, Umpqua Bank always makes me crave ice cream.
When I snack, I go salty. Hashtag kettle brand.
Hashtag made in Salem.
Hashtag no GMO, yo.
Hashtag tastes great, naturally.
Hashtag they got their start selling out of a van. Hashtag down by the river. Hashtag.
Hey, you could probably use a beer right now to wash down those chips. I wonder if Columbia Distributing would distribute some beer to us right now.
Hashtag official sponsor of Synchro to Micro.
Hashtag May 2nd and 3rd. Hashtag mark your calendars.
Hashtag best event ever.
Well, along with the Maritidal Idol.
Hey, I'm a little thirsty. How about a Miller Lite?
Hashtag tastes great.
Hashtag less filling.
Hashtag tastes great.
Hashtag less filling.
Hashtag please enjoy responsibly.
Hey, is it cold in here? Maybe we should turn up the heat.
Yeah, we could do that. Weren't this so affordable these days with the reasonable and regulated rates charged by Northwest Natural? Hashtag we grew up here.
Hashtag Philly cheesesteak served right off their trailer.
Hashtag have you seen Bruce Anderson lately? Hashtag he's everywhere.
I hope you know not to say NW. It's Northwest. Hashtag like Kanye and Kim's baby.
Yeah, that's a good point. I bet companies get tired of having their names altered. Hashtag American title.
Oh, I know. Like the Salem Real Estate Group. Hashtag the is there for a reason.
Hashtag it's not just any Salem real estate group. Hashtag let Dewey do it.
Hashtag Dave and Dewey did it again.
Hey, speaking of real estate, is our mortgage interest deduction still safe?
I think so. But do you know who really has their finger on the pulse of the tax code? Windendal, Rangich, Groneveld, and Norton. Hashtag say that 10 times fast.
Yeah, no kidding. Hashtag Norton should add a few random letters to his name.
Hashtag keep calm and reconcile on.
Yeah, let's find their table at the auction. Maybe one of them. Hashtag Elliot, hashtag ATVs, hashtag got sand. Will give us some free tax advice about the deductibility of our auction purchases and donations.
What about tipping the valet parking crew? Is that deductible? Hashtag I hate when they adjust my seat. Hashtag first world problems.
I don't know. We can ask Don and Teresa Lule of the Lule Group. Hashtag Don Lule Homes.
Hashtag Lule's car connection.
Hashtag Teresa Lule State Farm Insurance Agent.
Hashtag bundling to a whole new level.
Hashtag recession proof.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Does it feel like somebody's watching us?
I don't know. It could be Pete DeMuniz with DeMuniz Investigations.
Who?
You know, Pete. Chief Justice DeMuniz' son.
Oh, yeah, Pete. Well, this conversation will be pretty embarrassing. I hope he's not filming us with one of those sneaky little cameras he's got. Hashtag cell phone cam.
Hashtag alarm remote cam.
Hashtag button cam.
Hashtag swan cut on the roof of a parking garage.
Hashtag why are we giving away all of his methods?
He has so many. He could be filming us right now, that crafty son of a gun.
Hashtag master of disguise.
Hashtag private eyes. Hashtag they're watching you. Hashtag they see your every move. move.
Hey, if we are being watched, though, we probably should lawyer up. Hashtag I've always wanted to say that.
Sawfeld Griggs could probably help us out with that. Hashtag Bob was my housemate at Sun River.
Hashtag he goes by Cliff when ordering at the Pita Pit.
Hashtag is it the Pita Pit or just Pita Pit?
Not really sure. But hey, we shouldn't forget about Jim Griggs either. Hashtag First Citizen. Hashtag Best Dressed Lawyer in Salem. Hashtag Sorry Chelsea.
Hashtag sweater vests.
Actually, I don't know if Sawfeld Griggs can help us with our kind of issues. They're hashtag business lawyers.
Hashtag strictly business.
Hashtag getting down to business.
Hashtag risky business.
Hashtag business in the front.
Hashtag it's business. Hashtag it's business time. I know it's time for business when it's business time. Hashtag it's business. Hashtag it's business time.
Guys, what are you doing?
Oh, hey Tim, what's up? Have you been in there the whole time?
Yes, but what are you wearing?
What? We're wearing our beaver gear. Hashtag Beaver Nation. Hashtag orange and black is the new yellow and green.
Hashtag chrome.
Hashtag gold.
Hashtag pink.
Hashtag matte black.
Hashtag smoke.
Hashtag steel.
Hashtag thunder.
Hashtag carbon.
Hashtag highlighter.
Hashtag mirror.
Hashtag 50 Shades of Green.
That's a good one. Hashtag go bees.
Hashtag back it up and reverse it. Why you dissing my ducks? Hashtag scoreboard. Hashtag win the day. Hashtag big brother, little brother. Hashtag I love my ducks. Wait a minute. It's auction time.